Huge. That's a good word for you. God, help us to be big for you. Help us to honor you. God, I love you. Thanks for your spirit, God. Thanks for just coming in and settling this amazing day. Thanks for my church. I like my church, God. I don't just love them, I like them. God, we can talk and enjoy each other and invest time in each other and kick each other when we need it and love on each other when we need it. And God, thanks for providing us a way to have a family that we can care and love and enjoy. Talk to us today. Speak to us today. And we'll give you all praise and glory because you are the only ones that deserve it. In your name I pray. Amen. You may be seated. Glad to see you guys. I think the worship team, I think a couple is going to go back and help with kids and something. I don't know how it's all going to work out. And others are going to come back and all that stuff. Cade, don't fall on anybody. So... Cade is so ginormous with those other guys. Glad you're here. We were missing a few today, it looks like. Tis the season of hunting. So people are going to be chasing deer around. That's what I got to do yesterday. Thanks to a couple of buddies, I got to sit on a tree stand. And you go, man, how does that help you? It cleanses the soul. That's what it does. It's wonderful. I love it. I know that Anthony and Fish has been killing deer and having fun. I think Eli passed on several yesterday, and so we've had a good deer season already. It's kind of fun. I talked to Cody is all in favor of us pushing start time back for the next couple of weeks to 10:30, so I don't know. We might have to discuss that so people can come in. I think we should make like the first Sunday of rifle season. It should be Blaze Orange Sunday, so everybody wears their Blaze Orange. But we can't get confused and think that it's OSU fans coming in here, because that's a big no bueno, or Texas fans. So we don't want that to happen. But anyways. Got a question. Have y'all ever said this? Have you ever said, what does that matter anyways? Oh, and by the way, this Garth Brooks mic. I went to it for the look because it does look really good on me. I thought it would be more awesome, and I wanted to get used to it before we move over where the big dogs will be next. Just kidding. It's a mic that I don't have to clip on my shirt and like this, and it's for our Facebook. So you guys out in Facebook land, I'm wearing Garth Brooks for you. But anyways, have you ever asked the question, what does it matter anyways? What does it matter anyways? Who cares? What does it even matter? Me too. I've asked that question. And I said me too because all of you all said I have down in your soul. You said, yes, I have said that. I say it weekly, sometimes daily, sometimes every few minutes. What does it matter? Well, I don't know. Arguing with a teenager, like in school, they want to argue, or it's like, oh, man, it's exhausting sometimes. Or you could fill this sentence: who cares if you add the thing? It won't matter anyways. Who cares if I build a bunker? It doesn't matter anyways, because all that will be left is cockroaches. So however you want to do that. So, but I ran across this quote: Twitter is way better than Facebook. Do you agree with that, Chris? Amen? Okay. Twitter's better than Facebook. So if you do Facebook and you don't do Twitter, you should do Twitter over Facebook, because Twitter is just little snippets. And you get it, just look, and you don't have to. People usually don't tell you that they bought something at the store. They don't go, here's my shopping list or whatever. Coaches and people, they put like motivational quotes on there, and it's just these little, you don't have to look through everybody's stuff. You can just kind of go through it. Buzz Williams, he is the head men's basketball coach for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Does anybody know what a Hokie is? I don't either. See, I should have looked that up. I know that there's a dance, that's the first part of a dance. There's a hokey, then you pokey, so it's hokey pokey, so I don't know. But I'm not sure what a hokey is. But anyways, he gave this really cool Twitter post, and it really took me by storm. And I'm going to call it his what will matter quote. What will matter. And he didn't name it that. I named it that for him. So if he hears this, he now has a name for his quote. And I don't know if he made it up. I don't know if the guy's an axe murderer. I don't know anything about him. I know he coaches basketball. And I don't know anything about this guy, but he hit a home run with this. And so we're going to go through it, but we're going to do it a little different way. I'm going to use his quote, and I'm going to break it down, not like, like that, breaking it down, but I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to parallel it with a guy in the Bible, okay? And I want to use the Virginia Tech Hokie guy, and I want to work with him with Noah, okay? So I bet he never thought his quote would go with Noah, but it does. And it will be 4 parts, not that it matters, since we're talking about matters, not that it matters instead of 3, because most good messages has 3 main points. Am I right, Tasha? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was right. She teaches like speaking and presenting and drama, and so she knows, you have to take an airplane off, you've got to have a flight, and then you got to land the thing, okay? But this is going to have a little longer flight. We're headed to Cancun instead of just Texas. Okay, first part of his quote says this. He goes, "What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built." What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Imagine Noah calling up Ajax boat builders back in the day and goes, "Got a crazy order, guys. I need you to knock me out an ark. It's never rained, nothing, but I need you to build an ark, and I need you to deliver it at 302 Noah Street," or whatever. The world had become super wicked, and God was done. He was sick of it. And so he goes to Noah, okay? And remember, it's not what you bought, but what you built. Genesis 6, verses 13 through 15 says this. "So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them all out along with the earth. Build a boat from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. Make the boat 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high." Compare that with one of your staff meetings. Like you get a notice, hey, we have a staff meeting after work, and everybody's like going, seriously? Can you imagine what he was thinking? You've got to build a giant boat. Some would rather be asked to build an ark instead of work in the nursery. I understand that. Dirty diapers, snot, tension, headaches, all that stuff. Seriously, I got to tell you something. This is kind of weird, and you all don't believe this, and I don't do it very often, but I love to work and get dirty. I like to get the dirty that when you get in the shower, y'all know what I'm talking about, those of you that's gotten dirty before, you get in and you start scrubbing, and dirt collects in the bottom of the tub. I like that. I think that, and at the end of the day, here's the thing. There's a stink that comes with working hard that's better than the stench of somebody just not taking a bath for a long time. And I like that. I like to kind of have that sweaty, grimy, it's a good clean. It's a good dirty. I'm sorry. It's a good dirty. At the end of the day, I can look back, though, and I can see what we built. Okay, and I'm going to use somebody as an example. I always use, when we do work stuff, I always pick on Bill and Gil. I don't know why. But one of these days, and they don't mind if you do this, invite yourself over to their house for dinner. Just go up to Bill and Gail and go, hey, we would like to come over to your house, and we would like for Gail to fix a little something, because we want to look at your place, okay? And I wish, I don't know if they did or not, I wish they had before photos of their place. It was, permission to speak freely, you two? I would have said, you guys need to go to some sort of a doctor if you think that this is a good place to buy. It was a train wreck. I remember when I used to live out in that direction, and how many times I've driven, I didn't even give that place a second thought. I'm like, that's an old abandoned house. Somebody is whatever. And I'm like, there is no way that house, it was a dump. And I'm not kidding. I wish it would have been funny if they could have got Chip and Joanna Gaines from Fixer Upper, called them up and go, hey, we would like for you to come and help us out with this. They would have laughed, I think. But it was a mess. But I want to tell you something. Hours and hours of labor. Huge fires that literally shook the ground when it was burning, and fire departments being concerned, and a massive amount of investments, labor, materials. Those two people, Bill and Gail, did the impossible with that place. You drive by that place and you're like going, it's not even the same thing. They've literally transformed that thing. And I guarantee you they are intimately acquainted with that project. When you go over and eat dinner with them some night, I don't care, probably later in the week, because I think they run most of the time, so ask for a Thursday or Friday. That'd probably work better for them. But I guarantee you can go to Bill and Gail and go, how'd you do this? What happened here? And I guarantee you they know probably every nail, every screw, every board, everything about that place. Everything. If there's something wrong, Bill's not going to go scratch his head and go, man, I wonder if that's that thing. I guarantee you they'll know. Now I'm telling you, if I was capable of doing something like that, I would be proud, and I mean super proud of it. I remember one time me and my buddy built this chicken coop. It was awful. I mean, I've never really asked Bev what she thought of it, but I think she probably thought it was a junker, okay? And you know that blue foam insulation that's kind of like styrofoam, and you can push the little blue headed screws in it and it holds it in place. It's like insulation board or whatever. Don't put that in a chicken coop, because chickens will eat that. And anyways, we put that in there, and I thought it was something, and it was just a joke, man. It was not that great. And when I looked at the chicken coop, I knew it was a big turd, and I understand that. Well, I was still okay with it. I was still proud of it. You know why? Because I helped build it. Now, it was not as cool as their stuff, but my chicken coop was still pretty cool because I helped build it. It's more important what you build than what you buy. Think about this place. Think about this church. In 20 years from now, 30 years from now, in 10 years, what will we be looking at? What will we be looking at? I bet whatever it is, we'll be proud of it. We will look back at some old pictures. You know how they have those old pictures? And we'll be the old people sitting around and looking at old photos and going, I remember when Anthony used to look like that. Yeah, he looks dumb now, don't he? And that's the kind of stuff. And we will giggle and laugh because there was all these hard times and good times. And here's the thing. We will have it invested into something. What are you building? So that's your first question to answer today. What are you building? We can buy a lot of stuff, but what are you building? What are you sinking your teeth into? What are you getting dirty with? What's making you wash dirt off in the tub? What are you building? The next part of his quote was this: what will matter, and this may be the best part of this whole thing. I just love this part. I mean, remember, this is 2 of 4. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. He's a basketball coach. Go figure. These basketball guys are smart. Listen to what Noah did. Genesis 8, verse 15. Then God said to Noah, leave the boat, all of you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiplied throughout the earth. So Noah and his wife and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Genesis 9:1 says this: then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. I want to get you on the same page as Noah, maybe. Noah was not kicking the tires and winking for the camera after he finished the boat. During and after the flood, that's not what he was doing. What he was doing was much more significant than that. Remember that after the waters started going down, they parked the ark on the mountains of Ararat. And in verse 15 of chapter 8, God specifically said, leave the boat. Wait, God, that's a slick ride. That's my baby. Dude, God, you don't understand. You go look on the internet and you start digging through people and how long it took him to build the boat. It was anywhere from like 55 years to 120 years. I don't know anybody that's worked on a project for 55 years, much less 120 years. He literally was on the boat for 370 days. He parks it on a mountaintop, and God says, leave the boat. The dude has spent a gigantic chunk of his life building this thing. It is a massive undertaking, and God says, I need you to leave. I know what I'd be going with God. God, you know what? If we could get that down the mountain, I could use it for like a barn. I could do some cool, like we could maybe split it up, half barn, half house. We could call it a barn dominium. We could do well, there's a lot of things that we can do with this. This past week, there was a guy that plays for the St. Louis Cardinals. His name is Yadier Molina. I don't know if y'all know him or not. Stud. He was just awarded the Roberto Clemente Humanitarian Award for his help to victims of Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico in 2017. He in Clemente's home country. Do you know what I know about Roberto Clemente? When I was a kid, I always heard about this guy. I knew Roberto Clemente. I know that he died on an overloaded plane carrying supplies to another country because it had been ravaged. He was carrying it to Nicaragua because it had been devastated by a massive earthquake. The dude was a professional baseball player. He's leaving and flying to another country that has been devastated back in his day on an overloaded plane that had too many supplies in it, and they never found his body. That's what I knew about Roberto Clemente. I knew that he had died doing something for everybody else. What was the quote? Let's go back to the quote. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. I want you to listen to this. I didn't realize that he was a 12-time Gold Glove recipient. I had no idea he won the National League batting title 4 times and had a lifetime batting average of .317. He is in the Hall of Fame. He won the National League MVP and the World Series MVP. He was a 15-time All-Star. He was ranked by Sporting News as the 12th best baseball player in the top 100 baseball players of all time. And for a bonus, he was a 2-time World Series winner. And you know what I knew about Roberto Clemente? That the dude died helping other people. His success was unbelievable. But I promise you, they are still honoring people because of his significance. That blows me away. The next line of the quote is this: what will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. How many life lessons do we want to pick out for old Noah here? Genesis 9, verses 16 and 17. Listen to this. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth. Then God said to Noah, yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on earth. Noah didn't go start a famous shipbuilding company. He didn't go and become a famous actor and start doing portrayals of the flood and having people glorify his name. What did he do? Genesis 9:21 has a specific thing that Noah started doing. It said, after the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground and he planted a vineyard. He literally walks away from this crazy thing that he has done. He knows what he went through. He understands it. But all of a sudden, he starts teaching us valuable lessons. And I don't remember anything about Noah going into, the second, Noah part 2, and he started giving blueprints for telling everybody how to build a great boat. Here's what he did. He's still in God's plan, and he's still doing what I was asked to do. He asked me to go multiply the earth. He didn't become a famous craftsman. He became a teacher of what it means to be a fully devoted follower of Christ. He taught us that we can trust God no matter the circumstance. He taught us that it can't get too bad, too deep, too lonely, too hard, too anything that God can't bring us through. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, said King David. I'm walking through the valley. I'm not staying there. I'm walking through it. God's got something on the other side. I can be the smartest guy on the block. I can be smarter than everyone with half my brain tied behind my back. But if I cannot teach, it dies with me. And this will resonate with old Todd, I guarantee you. And let me tell you why. And probably Cody. These guys work with utility companies and state stuff. And how many old towns around here, there's some old boy that knows where every water line is, every drop is. Wasn't it Cotton Walden in Washburn, Missouri? If they needed anything, they would go to Cotton and ask him. Ernie Nicoletti out at the Banner Graveyard, he had that all set up, and he knew where all the people had bought plots and all that stuff. Here's the thing. If those old boys don't tell somebody what is up here, that will die with them. Great question is, who are you teaching? Who are you teaching? You can be the smartest dude or dudette in the world, but if you are not giving people your knowledge, guess what? You're going to die with that knowledge, and it's never going to have an impact except what you can do with it in your short lifetime. Noah wasn't all about building boats. He was about God's plan. And he taught us all these things in the middle of all this crazy stuff. He started teaching us how we can follow God's plan for our lives. Last one. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. We're going to have to go backwards a little bit with Noah on this one. I don't believe the Bible ever talked about what Noah did prior to shipbuilding. So why did God use him? Why did God pick him? And Genesis 6:9, I think, lays it out perfectly. It says, this is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on earth at the time, and he walked in close fellowship with God. It doesn't matter your competence, it matters your character. His character made him an obvious choice for the job. I'm sure he was a hard worker. I'm sure he had resolve oozing from his pores. I'm sure he was sharp as a tack. I'm sure he was stubborn. I'm sure he was committed. I'm sure he had several non-negotiables. I'm sure he really didn't care what people thought of him or said about him on Facebook. I'm sure he was resourceful. I'm sure he had a laser focus. I'm sure he could handle stress. I'm sure he was a leader. I'm sure he wasn't afraid of tackling impossible jobs. But whatever of those are true, that's not why God called him. He could have all those or a few of those or however many it took. But that's not why God called him. And here's why he called him. His character was above reproach. Why? Because he walked and worshiped and fellowshiped with the designer of the boat. I can have it all figured out. I can have a 10-year plan. I can move up the ladder faster than everyone else. I can outthink, outperform, outlast, outsmart everyone around me. But if my character isn't centered in God, what did I gain? I may have been the first to the finish line, but it was in a race that no one cared about except for me. Character is who you are. Ms. Alma Stipp used to say this. Character is who you are when no one else is watching. When you are building a boat when everyone else is at the lake or in bed. When you are building the boat and all the friends have left because of your mental status. And no one even seems to notice. When you're building the boat and you start wondering if it even matters. That is when our character begins to shine through. When we drive one more nail. When we climb the ladder one more time. When we lift one more heavy load. I don't have to know it all. I just have to know the one who does. What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not what you learn, but what you taught. And what will matter is not your competence, but your character. So what are you building? What is your significance? What are you teaching? And how's your character? I can't really add much to that. It's got to be something that's inside of us, something inherently inside of us that we desire good and better for those around us. I got to be honest with you. When I grew up, and I was telling Eli about this a little bit yesterday. I am not a good deer hunter. Okay, I like it. People that kill big deer quite often, they're good deer hunters, and that's just being honest. I'm not that great. I'm just not. I like. Todd says it the best. He goes, "I'm not good. I'm persistent," and I was kind of persistent. When I was growing up, we didn't have a TV, anything like that, and I literally hunted and fished and hunted and fished. It was a cycle, and that's what I did. That's just what I did. I I just did it. I that's all pretty much. And Chase Beverly when I had a chance. And I used to hunt and I'd work so hard, and then somebody that would go out for, one day they'd go kill this big buck. And man, I'd be like, oh man. And it used to bother me, like somebody'd come in and hey, it took my 4-year-old grandson out and he killed a 180 class deer. And I'm going, yay. And down here it's hurting, like it doesn't feel good. But then I read something here a while back. It talked about being happy for everybody else's journey. And when I look at this, and when I see this stuff here, how can I advance other people's journey? How can I build something that's worthwhile to others? How can I be significant to others? How can I teach others? And how can I have great character to show to others? How can I promote you on your... See, if we go back into the very essence of Noah's story, I guarantee you very little of that was about him and him alone. If you think about it, if he spent 80 years building this boat, that's 80 years he could have spent time with his family. But it was so much bigger than that. I want to be genuinely happy when Cody comes up with a 27-point double drop tine non-typical buck and goes, eat that, Kevin, like that. I want to go, Cody, Ben, I love you and I love that deer. Man, it hurts down deep inside. But anyways, I want that. Does that make sense? I want to be truly joyful, because you know what? You guys work for things. I know you guys. Most of you guys, you're doers. I look around this room and I see a bunch of people doing. There's people that do jobs in here. I don't even know for sure how they do it. I went and watched a play the other night this kid directed, and she don't want any attention. But I'm telling you, what she's able to do is nothing short of miraculous. We're doers in this room. Let's be proud of each other's journey. I'm telling you, invite yourself over to Bill and Gail's. Go look at their journey. Go look at it. It's crazy what they're able to do. Be proud. Have y'all had our pizza in here? If you haven't, you need to promote our pizza to everybody in the world. It's some of the best pizza I've ever had in my mouth. How they came up with all that's crazy. People are doers. There's this resourcefulness about us. What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. Side note on that, I texted Todd yesterday. I said, dude, thanks for taking Eli hunting. Todd let me go sit in a stand, and he took my son hunting. And you know what I was excited about? You know what I told him thanks? I said he needs good guys to talk to besides his daddy. What will it matter? It's not your competence, but your character. We are not shy on good character in this church and good people. Let that sink in and absorb in. You have the blueprint. You know the boat builder. You know the guy that really built the boat. What does he want you to do with it? Let's pray. God, I love you. This group of people have some wonderful things for you. God, you make things possible that, quite frankly, I see as impossible. You make us able to be doers, and we don't even maybe know how to do anything hardly. God, I want to be significant. I want to be able to teach, and I want to have great character. And I want to build your kingdom, and I want to build things for you. I want our church to live in that idea, that mindset. I want our church to desire that more than anything else. God, we don't have to have the coolest church in town, even though we probably do, because we're a bunch of cool people and you just bless our socks off. But we don't even have to have the coolest church in town, God. We want to have the one that's most relevant because you are guiding it. That's what I want. God, our efforts seem pretty weak sometimes. Man, you could take our effort and explode it into something that we can stand back and say, man, I had a part in building that. I love you, God. Help us to honor you with our lives. Help us to not ever fall short of our praises for you, because we do all the time. Because you deserve it all. I love you, God. I love how you care for us. If there's someone here, Father, that doesn't know you, or it's been a while since they've gotten contact with you, God, I'm asking you to speak to their hearts right now. Warm their hearts with such a love that they can't get away from it. Help them to just stand in awe of you and see your greatness. I love you, God. Thanks for loving us. In your great and wonderful and mighty name I pray. Amen.